Hey yo, it is Carso, and I'm here as a content creator for Simply Basketball. Today, I'm here with former Sixth Man of the Year, a member of the greatest show on court, and a member of the infamous Sacramento Kings bench mob, Bobby Jackson. How are you doing today, Bobby?
I'm good, man. How you doing?
Not too bad. Just another day in the woods. So, I was actually at the game last night. It was a great win. So
Oh,
you guys warming up with Buddy and stuff. So, I know you just opened up your Bobby Jackson Academy.
uh-huh.
What does that mean for you, and why did you want to open that up?
What does it mean? I think being involved with the game since I was 9 and being able to instruct, but also being able to encourage and give kids confidence to go out there to help them develop their games is something that I didn't have as a little kid. I kind of grew up on the playgrounds, played with older kids, and I never had um, professional athletes come into the setting to help me develop my game. So I just kind of figured that out myself. And so, I'm in a latter stage of my life and, I love being on the floor. I love teaching. I love educating. So I was just trying to figure out a way, how can I give back, but also be a small business owner in Sacramento. Been here for years and just trying to grow the city, but also teach the game that I've been taught by so many great coaches that I've had in my life, and try to bring that element to my academy.
So you've always had this idea since your retirement. Have you always lived in Sacramento since you retired?
Yeah, I've been here for 21 years.
Wow.
Been here 21 years. And so, yeah, I've always, had this in my back of my mind, and it really didn't come to fruition until about 3 years ago. We started 2 years ago, right when the pandemic hit, and we had to close it down. And so now, this is going to be the first time that we can get in the gym and I can be there. And it's a great time because season is over with in about a week, and now I get to pour all my attention into teaching kids, being there every day, and just being a gym rat and learning. Regardless how old I am, I still feel like I could learn different things about the game and interact with kids of all ages also.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea. So your goal is just to continue to develop players in the area, and what are you looking for as you continue down this path?
To open up multiple academies throughout NorCal and maybe Reno. But I think at the end of the day, my biggest thing, my impact that I've had in this game, being able to pass it on and teach and instruct and build kids' confidence, but also learn. I know the game is truly evolving every single day, and I'm just a student of the game. I love to figure out how to get the best out of kids, but also develop them, teach them the fundamentals of the game that I kind of stand by and I live by to this day. Wasn't Again, it wasn't a McDonald's All American. I kind of had to figure out how to get to the NBA on my own. And so, I think a lot of kids that there's going to be a lot of kids in my shoes instead of those All Americans. I think the hard work, the dedication, the work ethic, the effort that you put into every day will show the resilience and the proof that the proof in the pudding that once you put in that work, it will be able to show.
Yeah, I really like what you've been doing because I was talking to my parents and they were huge fans when you were on that 2002 team, and they were even saying that even during your playing days you had certain activities evolving around basketball in the community.
Yeah, and that's huge. Again, like I said, being able to be a positive impact in this community for so many years and find a niche that I love so much. And I think giving back is one of the things that I thrive on. Want to open up a successful business, but you got to find time to give things back and do charitable contributions to the city that you love. So I've tried to find that out, and it's not about money. It's about literally impacting these kids' lives, giving them an avenue that they haven't seen, and they get a face that they see on TV, but now they get to interact with me, but they also get to learn from me.
Yeah, and I feel like Sacramento is it's a small big city. It's not LA, it's not San Francisco. So having a program like this, it kind of opens up the eyes for even the national college circuit.
No, it is, and at the end of the day, like, my job is to teach it, train it, and allow kids to compete against it. Yeah, that's something that I kind of, live by. A good friend of mine kind of taught me that, and it kind of stuck with me. A guy named Ty, he was a coach with the Stockton Kings. He said, "Man, I live by this. I teach it, I train it, and I compete it." So just applying that to my philosophy and giving kids those instructions, but also pouring into them and teaching them how to do things the right way. It's kind of going to allow me to be successful, but it's also going to allow them to be successful on the floor as well.
Because you're learning just as much as they are too with that.
Exactly. You're never too old to learn. I tell people that all the time.
So I kind of want to get into your playing career. And to start it off, a lot of these kids coming in, they know how the draft process goes. But for those younger kids, can you explain what it's like being drafted and that draft process? Because it's a lot different when you came into the league, even now.
It is. I was kind of unknown coming out of high school. I had to go to JC. And then I went to the University of Minnesota for 2 years, went to the Final Four, took my team to the Final Four. And I think to this day, I'm still the only player in school history to win Big Ten Player of the Year and Defensive Player of the Year. So that's that's not a known fact, but it's just something that is an accomplishment that I can take with me that allows me to grow. But on the draft process side, it's so different now because you have so many kids ranked, you have so many agents, and they got so much visibility right now.
Mm-hmm.
Like now, being the Big Ten Player of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, like in today's and be like, you'll be a top 10, top 5 pick. I was 23rd pick. I got drafted at 23rd. So, the drafting process is totally different. There's a little bit more visibility. There's more detailed about the workouts and the skill development. And I think that's a huge part. I'm a huge player development guy for the Sacramento Kings. I think that's how guys get better, is getting in the gym and working. I wish I had that, when I was growing up. I just played every single day. I didn't really focus. I focused on my shooting, but technical stuff, ball handling, making the right, like, I didn't figure that out until the latter part of my career. I didn't have that coming out of high school, didn't have it coming out of college. So these kids now, they got a huge advantage because the game has progressed and is leaps and bounds from where I came.
So your role at the Kings is a player developmental coach. Do you work with both guards and bigs, or do you focus primarily on the guards?
Focus on everybody. I think being a student of the game, just because I'm a guard, why does that have to say I can only work with the guards? So I kind of watch a lot of film. I understand it. I like guards that can post up and be efficient on the box, and even actually showing bigs how to be more forceful and how to be more technical with their footworks on the box. So I kind of do both bigs, and I do both big. I do bigs and I do guards. So I just try not to pay attention to one.
So my next question, it's a kind of a hot topic. Can you talk about what you've worked on with Marvin? Because I've seen a lot of growth with him this year, and not just because he's a very skilled player. He came out of college very skilled, but I've seen a change in intensity since he came back too.
Yeah, I mean, Marv is a rare talent, and I think that's something that you guys have seen throughout his 3 years in the league. He's continually gotten better. Injuries have been a huge part of him not being on the floor, but he continues to grow. And I still think he has a high ceiling that he can reach that's untapped right now. And that just comes with putting in the work. And I think Rico Hine, Jesse Mermans, they do a great job with him, and they do a great job with watching film and working on the things that he needs to get better with. I think as a whole overall coaching staff, I think we've done a great job with, just putting our hands on everybody, and Marv, one of those guys that if he continues to work, the ceiling is going to be extremely high for him.
And even with guys like you have Terrence Davis coming in, he's a high energy he was a small college, and you've seen him grow a lot. Obviously, he's only been with you guys for so long, but then even seeing Tyrese, he's a lot different of a player than he was coming out of college. I really like Justin James's growth as he's come to the Kings. So you guys are doing a great job there.
Thank you.
So next up, talk about your time with Sacramento. You played, I believe, 2 years, a couple years before. You were drafted in 97, came here in like 2000, 2001. So can you talk about your tenure with the Kings, those 5 years, and what the most valuable thing you learned from your time in Sac?
My tenure was amazing. I actually signed as a free agent, and I didn't know at the time as a free agent, nothing about Sacramento. I just knew it was a cow town. I knew it was a lot popping. I honestly said my first rookie year, like, man, ain't nowhere in the world I could never live in Sacramento. So now I've been here 21 years. My kids are born from here, are from here. That's like my second home. I've actually been here longer than I have been in North Carolina. So this is actually home for me. But the tenure has been great. The city has accepted me and welcomed me with open arms, and they continue to give to me. I continue to give to them, and being able to work for this franchise. I'm still like a kid in a candy store because a lot of people want to be in the NBA. And this is a selective group of guys that get to wake up every day and put their shoes on and go do something that they love doing. And I think that's probably the one thing that I can really lay my hat on. The basketball, the thrills, the playoff games, the brotherhood, the phenomenal coaching. I mean, that all speaks for itself when we got on the floor and we played. It was just, it was unbelievable. And now we're trying to turn the table and make sure we can get back to those old glory days.
So you were there. You come in the year after they lose to the Lakers. They were the 8th seed, lost to the Lakers. Next year you come in, you guys beat Phoenix, but you face LA in the semis. What was the atmosphere like heading into that series? And was that rivalry already building at that point?
What was the atmosphere like? I mean, the atmosphere was crazy. They didn't like us, and we didn't like them. And so it calls for a heated series. It allowed both teams to play at a high level. We lost 2 years in a row to them before we got to the Western Conference Finals, and that made 3. So it made the series really intriguing, made it really tough. And I think, going back, I don't like making excuses. And I tell my kids this all the time. Like, be able to live with the consequences that is thrown your way. But I will say this. I think, after that LA series going to the Western Conference Finals, we didn't feel like we had a fair shake after that series. But at the end of the day, you are in control of your destiny. Whether you're playing, you're at the free throw line, you're defending, all those things are in your head. So it was a great series. It was something that it's always going to be a part of my life. And we took them to Game 7, and the series was a dog fight, but the Lakers was the best team that year, and they ended up going on to win the NBA championship.
So that's the next thing I was going to ask. I haven't heard many of that team talk about that Game 6. and what that was like for you on the bench and playing in that game, seeing Mike Bibby get elbowed in the mouth by Kobe, and there's no call. I think they had 18 more free throws than you guys in the fourth quarter. Just what was your mindset? I know Rick Alleman wasn't too happy at that time. What are you thinking as you're watching this play out?
You can't believe this is going on. Can't believe it's happening. You know, I don't like, again, like I said, I don't like making excuses at the end of the day. You know, I kind of raised my kids that way. But you know when you're getting a fair shake, and you know when you're not getting a fair shake. And we just felt like we wasn't getting a fair shake during that series, whether it was game 1, game 6, or game 7, game 4. You know, I could just tell you this: at the end of the series, we just felt like it wasn't even playing field. You know, and there's also things that you can say, well, I wish I would have did this. I wish I would have did that. You know, you do those things so you don't leave it up into the ref's hands. You know, you got to actually understand how to take care of business. We didn't. And it was something that's always going to be a part of history. What if and what if not? What if they wouldn't have shot 28 free throws in that fourth quarter? You know, so you just you go back and you can ask yourself these things, but I try not to think about it and try not to allow it to creep in my mind. People love still talking about it to this day. But, I mean, at the end of the day, it's something that happened and you can't take it back.
I just find it funny how the late great David Stern, he was asked what's his dream finals, and he says Lakers versus Lakers. So what is that? No one wants to see Sacramento in the finals, right?
No, without a doubt. You know, and being a small market team, you definitely want your big market team in the finals. But at the end of the day, you know, small market team, we have the visibility to compete with the big market teams, you know, and it was an honor, number one, just to be in the finals with the LA Lakers and to take them to 7 games and to put fear in their heart, kind of allow us to get to where we was at, because we were super confident, we wasn't scared, and it came down to, for us, game 7, missing free throws down the stretch, missing a couple wide open jumpers down the stretch. So we had opportunities to win the game. We just didn't capitalize on it.
I think that was the last, besides 2016 when the Warriors played the Thunder, that was the last game 7 series. Will go down as one of the greatest series in basketball history. And the what if, like, so do you think you guys go on to play the Nets? Do you think you beat them?
For sure. Yeah, we beat them by 30 every game that we played in that year.
Yeah.
It wasn't even close. You know, I think we was a really, really special team. You know, they had a really good team. And you can't take what you've done in the regular season and then add it to the postseason. But we was confident that if we came up against the New Jersey Nets, that it would have been a really good series for us, because we was hard to guard, and we was playing, and we was playing at a high level. We was defending at a high level, and our team chemistry was off the chart.
So just talking a little bit more about that, what was that brotherhood like? I know the Mother's Day just passed, and I know you had lost your mother. Sorry about that. And I know they all attended the services. Just what was that like, having that support from your teammates?
And like you said, brotherhood. You know, it was something that I'll always remember, and it'd be a special memory in my heart. Having my brothers there at my mom's funeral while they was on a road trip on the East Coast. You know, they took the time out of their busy schedule to come to small Salisbury, North Carolina, and be a part of the service. You know, that was something amazing. You know, and that's something that you're always going to remember. Is always going to be a part of your life. And there's a reason why we're still, everybody that was on that team, we're still cool to this day. You know, even Jeff Petrie being the GM, making the decisions like, yo, we're going to go support Bobby. Rick Adelman being the head coach saying, yo, we're going to be there. We got to go support Bobby. Because it's a familyhood. It's a family and it's a brotherhood. And, they stuck by me during my difficult time of my life. And I'm truly indebted to those men and those women that came to my mom's funeral.
Because just as important as chemistry on the court is just as important off the court. So just talking, I have to ask about this one play. Peja behind the back, right to you.
Yeah.
just break that down.
Man, I know I leaked out. I know it was a turnover. I leaked out, and I didn't know how he was going to get it to me. But for some reason, like it kind of the pass was just on time target. And at the end of the play, I just pointed at him like, "Yo, I couldn't believe that." And that goes down as probably one of the best passes in the history of the game, just because it was behind the back, full court pass. It was on time. It was on target. So I was just happy to be a recipient of that pass.
I mean, you played with Peja, you played with Jay Will for a bit, right?
Yeah.
How fun was he?
Oh, man. The coldest ball handler I've ever seen in my life that I had the ability to play with. And I played with some really good point guards. But you talking about creative and magical with the basketball. Like I played with Chris Paul, I played with Terrell Brandon, Stephon Marbury. I played with really, really point guards. But you talking about flashy, like me personally, I knew my game. It wasn't in my game to do that. So it takes a special individual to have that type of skill set. Number one, the ability to take it and the will to make those passes. He was risky. So it just allowed everybody to thrive around him and be excited and understand, like, if you wasn't looking, he was going to hit you in the face with the basketball. So you always had to be on your P's and Q's when it came to Jay Will.
Those practices had to be great. You defending him because, wow.
Yeah, our practice was super competitive. And, and that's the one thing I loved about the NBA. Every day I came to practice, I made sure I pushed guys and I made them better every single day, and you can tell it was while we were successful on the floor because we got a lot out of our practices.
Yeah, those teams are infamous here in Sacramento. You talk to anyone about it, they bring up the Bobby Jackson, the bench mob, greatest show on court. But then you decide to retire. Now you played 12 years in the league, correct?
Yeah.
What made you decide to stay in Sac? Just because you're comfortable?
I'd probably say, it was out of my 12 years, I was here, had the longest tenure here in Sacramento. The city had embraced me as a young man when I came in. And then when I left out, I was, a little older gentleman.
Mm-hmm.
With 4 kids. No, 5 at the time.
5 at the time.
5, yeah, 5. My youngest was born that last year, of year 12. So it was amazing, man. And I think that's the one thing about Sacramento. It's great people, great community, great atmosphere. The organization is continually growing and thriving. And I think that's the reason why I'm here. Number one, I want to be a head coach, and hopefully I can be a head coach for this franchise one day. So I'm going to talk it and speak it in existence.
Right here.
I've been working for my whole life outside of basketball. Basketball was my first love, being a player. But now understanding X's and O's, watching a lot of film, I think the next phase of my life is, becoming a head coach one of these days, and hopefully getting this team back to the promised lands.
Yeah, it was a pretty exciting time. We're just a couple games back. Still, if you guys win out, Spurs lose out, there's still a chance at that play-in game, and you never know. One game, play Memphis, never know. So
No,
let's speak
right.
that into existence too. So as you've been here for some time, how have you seen your role change over time?
I've been in different positions. When I first retired, when I first retired and I got in the when I got into front office, I actually was the ambassador. I would go out in the community and um, meet and greet, sign autographs, and then I did that for like a year, and then I got into full-on scouting, going and watch college basketball players and games, and getting ready for the draft. I did that for like 3 years. Then I actually I got into I got into coaching, and then I did that for like another 3 years, and then I took a break, got into TV and radio, and now this is my second stint back with the Kings, and this is my third year back on the coaching side. I love it. Player development is good, but at the end of the day, like if you in coaching, you want to see how high your ceiling can go as a coach, and so I'm looking to be on the front of somebody's bench. I'm looking to be an associate. I'm looking to be a head coach. And it's just what I want as a basketball player. I mean, as a coach, being able to understand the game, run my own team, and bring my own philosophy and my mindset and my toughness to a team one day.
So do you have any ideas what you would do with this team that you have now? You have a bunch of young players, but you also have some older guys.
Yeah, I think I can always talk about what I would do, and I think that's a good thing about being on the outside. You can always talk about what you're going to do, but when you get in that moment, and now you may have to do something different. Coaching is about adjustment, and I know the biggest thing that my philosophy is going to be consistent with, it's going to be communication, it's going to be accountability, and then you're going to have to play with effort every single night, and then you got to know your roles. So those 4 things I'm kind of consistent with. But based on the team that you have, like now you got to build and put the best offense around the guys to make them thrive and be successful on the floor.
So last couple questions. I'm going to ask you about what has it been like with the COVID season versus last season? You got shut down last year. And then what have you seen with the difference between this Kings team and last year's King team?
COVID, the bubble was different. It was really different. I mean, the bubble and now, like we was just in Orlando and we couldn't go nowhere. We couldn't do anything. First when the pandemic hit, and this season it's been up and down. We was up and down in the bubble too, but we've had spurts where we've won 7, lost 9, won 7, 6 or 7 games in a row. Then we won. We had lost 2 or 3 or 4 games in a row. Now we're just coming off of 4. We done won the last 5 out of our 6 games. So it's been an up and down because it's been an up and down season. I would say this, as a coach, you probably want the team to be more consistent. Whether it's especially on the defensive end. Scoring comes and goes, but if you can figure out how to be more consistent on a defensive end on a nightly basis, now you give yourself a lot of chances of winning those games down the stretch.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough to see the inconsistency, but you guys have for a while your injuries were fine. You've only had a couple COVID sit outs. De'Aaron's one of the first players you've had to sit out with health and safety protocols, but for the most part, you guys were healthy. And if you just win a couple more of those games, we might be in that Spurs spot.
No, without a doubt. And those are things that you look back and you look at and you talk about with the guys is being able to capitalize and minimize your mistakes every game, being consistent for 48 minutes. I thought the guys have done a phenomenal job. There have been times where that 9-game losing streak, I was like, I was about to pull the hair out of my head that I didn't. But it made us stronger and it made us more connected, and you always trying to find ways, how do we get guys out of the rut? What are the things that we're going to do to give them confidence to go into the next game so they can believe in themselves? And I think that's something that we've allowed ourselves to do for this season. But it's also coaching, that allows you to take off your thinking hat, but also everybody gets to be involved and make decisions and, see what's the best scenario that's going to allow us to grow and get out of this slump.
And, I've seen a lot of Buddy Hield. He's always going to be a great shooter, right? But his decision-making this season has taken it to another level. He's had a couple 8-9 assist games. And even when that 3 ball is not falling, he's finding other ways to impact the game. And I think that's where his game takes it to the next level.
Yeah, I mean, with De'Aaron and Harrison being out, now he has to be the playmaker. Me personally, if it was up to me, buddy, I just want you to shoot every time you open. Pin downs, getting out in transition, now and making shots. Now he has to be a facilitator, and he's done a phenomenal job. And he has to grow. He has to get better. And I think those things he's going to take the time and work on. And I think that kind of adds more value to his game. With De'Aaron out, we don't play as fast. The game kind of slows down. But even though we still scored 120-something last night and we held that team to under 100, it kind of comes down on the defensive end. And we're locked in on the defensive end. We're talking, we're communicating, we're being tough on the floor, taking away dribble penetration. Those kind of help in our favor and kind of allows us to be successful at the end of the game.
Yeah, the nice part with having no fans is you can hear every word the players are saying. So you hear Buddy talk a lot, even at the free throw line when your team's shooting. You've seen a lot of development from him. I think Marvin, when he gets the rebound and he pushes, that's almost where he's best at, right? So I have one final question. I have a podcast called Stuck in a Dream, and I've been asking the people, if you could play with anyone, your dream teammate, who would it be?
If I could play with anyone, who would it be? Man, I don't know. It probably would have been Michael Jordan.
I interviewed. Go ahead.
It probably been Michael Jordan. Just for the simple fact I'm from North Carolina. He's my favorite player of all time. And his competitive drive, his will to win, his scoring ability, why not play with somebody? I know he probably would have been hard on me, but man, it probably would have made me a hell of a player if I would have been in his shoes, because I'm like a sponge. I soak things up. I'm gonna be working just as hard as you. So, it would have been amazing to probably step on the floor and go to practice with him every single day.
So is he your GOAT?
He's my GOAT for sure.
Okay. I was interviewing this kid who goes to University of Illinois, and he's going to be a sophomore next year. He said the exact same thing, basically word for word. So it's kind of cool seeing what you guys think.
Oh, that's good.
If you want to check out Bobby Jackson on Instagram, his Instagram will be in the link below. The academy will be down below. And if you want to follow me on Instagram, it'll be @CarsonCook.talks. Thank you for taking time out of your day, Bobby. Hopefully you get a big win tomorrow.
Appreciate it, man. Thanks for having me on. Appreciate it.